What's an immediate red flag that you are in a dangerous neighborhood? Chris Rock said it best: if you enter a neighborhood at noon and you see men walking around in sweatpants, lifting weights in the front yard, and using a child's bike as their mode of transportation, you are in danger. If you enter a neighborhood at noon and you see men walking around in sweatpants, lifting weights in the front yard, and using a child's bike as their mode of transportation, you are in danger. Cops in Atlanta on foot patrol telling us that they don't let anybody hang out on the stoop of a building after midnight even if you were just smoking a cigarette. Few minutes later some guy walked up and told us we needed to move along and then lifted his shirt to show the pistol in his waistband. We went inside.
Hey guys, much like you, I love reading people's stories on Ask Reddit. Unfortunately, there's a lot of weird middle school level, just thought experiment type hypotheticals like nice try Baskin Robbins. I don't find this compelling, so that's why I've made it my mission to trawl and crawl through Ask Reddit and find the very best content and put it in your ears. That's why I'm begging you, like and subscribe. If there's anything I can do to help you out, give you the kind of content that you crave to help you get through your workday, let me know in a comment. But please, like and subscribe.
Got lost in Atlanta after a Phish show in '99 or so. We knew we were in the bad part of town. It just had that bad vibe. Like we were being watched. Saw a cop and flashed my lights at him. He got out, took one look at us in our tie-dyes and sandals in our new white Corolla and chuckled, "You're lost." He gave us directions to get on the interstate. He then told us not to stop even for stop signs or lights and to not get off the interstate until after a certain exit, called AutoZone, looking for a car part. Person on the phone: "We have one in stock at the Silver Spring location. Would you like me to have it shipped to this store?" Me: "Nah, I'll just go get it." Them: "Sir? Are you familiar with that location at all?" Me: "No." Them: "Do you have a friend or someone that lives in that area that could pick it up for you?" Me: "No? Why?" Them: "Look, I highly recommend you do not go to that location unless you live in that neighborhood." Me: "What? Am I going to get robbed or shot or something?" Them: "Yay, probably both depending on how you look." Me: "Yay, what time can you have it at your store?" Look at the churches. As a general rule of thumb, the longer the church names are, the worse the neighborhood. Bonus points if the churches are tiny and only take up a storefront. Note the converse is not necessarily true though. St. Vincent's Roman Catholic Church is not necessarily indicative of a good neighborhood, but St. Vincent the Holy Beloved and his Sacred Apostles Church of the Lord Jesus Christ is a sign that you're deep in the hood. Lookouts. Young kids on corners or sitting on mailboxes who watch you as you enter the neighborhood and whistle to warn others that a stranger, or worse, is approaching. Took me a while to figure it out, but now it's one of the first things I notice. Also a bunch of guys hanging around an oil barrel fire in the middle of the street. That means you've gone too far. In my neighborhood someone posted on Nextdoor that they woke up to someone standing over their bed. Then 2 days later someone else posted that a dude was walking around the street naked asking strangers if they wanted to touch his wee-wee. Oh, and car theft is so common that I no longer lock my car because it's financially smarter for me to let them have a look around than to pay for any more broken windows. I might be in a bad neighborhood. That's how it is in certain parts of Dayton, Ohio. If you're in the west side and it's after 10 p.m., you drive through every light and stop sign. Don't stop for anything, not even a flat tire. Keep riding that MFN rim till you're on the other side. There's places that the cops and EMT won't even go to. I was once driving to Chicago and it was late at night. Needed to get gas and took the first gas exit I saw. In some small city just south of Chicago, no idea where. While I was pumping gas a police car pulled in and parked. Cop got out and looked at me. Tiny teenager who clearly wasn't from around there. He asked, "You got one of these?" And gestured to his firearm. I said, "No sir." He replied, "Don't recommend you stick around here much longer then." We got out of there ASAP. Don't forget about Boost Mobile. I walked into a Boost Mobile off of Ashland once and the employee politely asked me, "Excuse me sir, can you come back in about an hour? We were just robbed at gunpoint." They didn't shut down for the day. They weren't even shook. Just another Tuesday.
I turned 36 this year and I decided to focus on my physical fitness, so I bought a swim club membership. The only problem was, most of the time when I go swimming, I wind up getting an ear infection. So it turns out that normal earplugs that kind of irritate your ear canal, they don't really work, they don't keep the water out, but there is an amazing kind of earplug. It's called Mack's Pillar Soft Silicone earplugs that, They feel great, they keep the water out 100%, they're reusable, and they don't irritate your ear canal at all, no issues. If you've ever had a severe ear infection, you don't want to experience that again. It can permanently damage your hearing if you're unlucky. So investing in these earplugs is definitely a good idea. Also, when my baby was crying later this year and I could not get to sleep, I used the same earplugs and they worked great. I was able to sleep right next to a crying baby. So be sure to click my affiliate link and purchase some of these Mack's earplugs today.
I got lost once in Atlanta before GPS and ended up in what was obviously a very sketchy area. Went up some random street, just get turned around and like 4 guys immediately come out of the woodwork and stand in front of my car. I was sure I was going to get robbed. "You lost, man? What you need in here?" "Yay, I'm just turning around to get back to 75. Can you tell me how to get there?" "Yay, you want to turn around, go back to the light, take a left, and it'll be just like a mile on down the way." "Oh, thanks, I appreciate it, you guys have a good one." "You too," he said, then turned and yelled in the opposite direction, "Yo, y'all let this man through, he's just turning around." Like 5 or 6 more guys I didn't even know were there came up from the dead end at the end of the street and waved me on. I did a U-turn, and went on about my business. I feel like I was quite lucky, lol. Atlanta is a scary, scary town if you end up in the wrong end at the wrong time. Years ago, I went to visit some friends who lived in NYC, both transplants from elsewhere. The only apartment they could afford, even with 2 more roommates, was in Harlem. My friends and one of the 2 roommates were the only white people in their building, maybe their whole block. So I arrive, a fat white boy from the Midwest. I stood out like a sore fucking thumb. The first night there, we heard gunshots. It freaked me out, but my friends just said, "Nah, we're cool." The next morning, I woke up before my friends. None of them or their roommates smoked, so I went out on the stoop to have a cigarette. I ended up talking to a huge guy smoking a joint and drinking a bottle of whiskey at 7 a.m. He, obviously, could tell I wasn't a Harlem resident. When I told him who I was visiting, all he said was, "The white guys in 6F? Man, they're cool. White people call the cops, but they don't say shit. Anyone in this neighborhood fucks with you, tell 'em you cool with Hamhock. I got you. Hamhock, wherever you are one cool motherfucker." My stepdad was in NYC in the early 80s in the Coast Guard. Him and a few buddies hopped on the subway and got off at the wrong stop. A cop on the platform of that stop told them to get back on the subway because it was under Latin King control and it would be very unsafe for a bunch of white guys from out of town. I live in a rougher part of my city and saw a crazy guy literally chasing after this couple with their baby in a stroller from a couple streets down when I was in a parking lot. Like, who chases after a family with a baby? TF, I don't take walks by myself anymore. I was in Detroit for a hockey tournament a few years ago. After one of our games I was driving between the rink and the hotel and needed to fill up. First thing I noticed was that you couldn't pay at the pump. Maybe normal for that area? Not normal for someone from Toronto, on. Then I walk into the building and see the bulletproof glass and carousel style thing for exchanging goods and money. The worker took one look at me, as coaches we wore suits and ties, and said, "You're not from around here, are you? Do me a favor, when you get back in your car, drive to wherever you're headed and don't stop till you're there. Look at the schools in particular. Are all the windows boarded up or barred up? Does the campus look bleak and buildings dilapidated? Also look into the school itself, what are the test scores, the graduation rates, etc.? Does it have a schoolyard or is it mostly concrete? How a community looks upon their kids is quite often the prime indicator of how the rest of the community lives." Used to be Boost Mobile. Where you at? It was even marketed that way if memory serves. The walkie-talkie feature seemed to be the feature that said, "I'm a drug dealer." Or work a construction site like my meth head stepdad of that time. Had the crush-proof yellow Nokia, besides the obvious like boarded-up barred windows, bulletproof glass and pay slots at stores, general widespread disrepair, etc. Lots of working-aged people lingering around on the sidewalk streets in the middle of a workday, not really going anywhere or engaging with anything. Doubly so if you notice them all glaring at you the entire time you're in the area. Doesn't necessarily mean dangerous in every case but can indicate high unemployment or lay scrupulous employment. Another one I've noticed is, relatively, nice new cars parked outside rundown homes. I was absolutely running on fumes going through Cincy, so I got off the first off-ramp I found and took a wrong turn. Luckily there was a gas station, but I wasn't feeling too safe by myself. A sort of unhinged guy was preaching to me, so I figured just a few gallons would do me. A very large man walked over to me from his group of friends, told me to finish up quickly and gave me directions back to the highway. He also suggested that if I got a red light near the underpass that I shouldn't stop. I worked at City Hall in Camden as a security guard, but my shift ended when it closed for the day, so I left before sundown. Wasn't a bad place to work, my coworkers were nice. One of the guys, not a security guard, who worked there would always make small talk with me and told me he liked my smile. Anyway, one day we're talking and he mentioned he was part of a murder trial that day.
This year, like I said, I'm having a midlife crisis. I've started a YouTube channel and I'm on a big health kick. One thing that I found is very easy to eat, very easy to prepare, is I heat up chickpeas with chicken broth and tikka masala. And there are two schools of thought about how you should eat beans. Some people believe you should buy the dry beans and soak them, but I tried that and it was a disaster. So I buy canned beans every time. And if I'm opening like 2 cans a day to be on this diet, it is a massive pain in the ass if the can has this jagged metal edge. I'm worried if like little bits of metal are getting into my food, I'm going to slice up my intestines. So I found this special can opener that actually opens the can in a way that is completely safe, no metal's getting in your food, and is 1,000 times better than any other can opener I've ever used. So if you wind up, opening a lot of cans for whatever reason, maybe you've got a cat or something, you must buy this can opener from my affiliate link.
I stayed one night in a motel in New Orleans during Jazz Fest where pillows were optional. I was drunk as hell, as you would be during Jazz Fest, and passed out on the floor. Woke up face to face with the largest roach I'd ever seen. Told the front desk and the guy shrugged saying, "We grow them big down here." Which part of ATL? One time around 08 to 09, before Beltline, PCM, and all the new shit on Ponce north of A04W area, me and some friends just parked and were walking into the Taco Bell at Parkway and Ponce. Some cops pulled their car in front of us and said not to go in.
If there's ever a fly or a mosquito or like a yellow jacket or some weird unknown insect in my house, my wife will not leave me alone until it is dead, and she will blame me personally for having a house that an insect entered. The only way that I'm able to buy peace for myself so that I can work on this YouTube channel that you enjoy is by using an electric fly swatter with an affiliate link in the description. The way this fly swatter works is that you hold down the little button and then you whack the fly as if it were a tennis ball, and it looks like a tennis racket. And what the electricity does is it stuns the insect or kills it so that you can clean it up easily. And the fact that it's a tennis racket gives you a much better chance of actually hitting the insect. And I found it invaluable, and I hope that you will decide to also use it in your home. And, if you're like a teenage boy, you can also whack other teenage boys with it. We used to do that in the Boy Scouts.